do you think the reputation of the United States has gone down under your presidency?
No, I think it's gone way up, and I think we're a respected country again. We were laughed at all over the world. We had a president that couldn't walk up a flight of stairs, couldn't walk down a flight of stairs, couldn't walk across a stage without falling. We had a president that was grossly incompetent. You knew it, I knew it, and everybody knew it, but you guys didn't want to write it because you're fake news.
All right. Thank you.
And by the way, ABC is one of the worst. I have to be honest with you.
Thank you for the opinion.
Yes. Well, that's why you're interviewing me. That's Terry Moran, award-winning left-wing radical extremist journalist at ABC Fake News. President Trump, perhaps inexplicably, decided to sit down with Terry Moran of the Democratic Party yesterday, who couldn't have been more smug. Well, maybe he could have been. I don't know. He's pretty smug. But it's one of his areas. There's no doubt about that. And a very good Wednesday to you. Welcome back. We continue to be reached at 888-630-9625. Absolutely toll-free. And President Trump had a big rally in Michigan last night. Big, really big. Everyone was happy. There are conservatives. There was one crazy Democrat. Was it a man or a woman? I'm not sure whether it was a man or if it was a woman. President Trump couldn't tell either. All we know is that it was a Democrat, and you know how difficult that can be sometimes because you're Democrats. It's peculiar. Speaking of which, that works perfectly with today's story about Robert De Niro. He was in a movie called Taxi Driver about 50 years ago. And it was a pretty good movie. It was good. It was violent. The Democrats love a lot of shooting, a lot of violence. They love prostitution. Oh yeah. Speaking of which, I have with me today what they call the Coalition of American Sex Workers, established in 2024. I have their symbol right in front of me. Michael Piercy and I were just talking about pinning it up on the wall here in the studio because they call prostitutes sex workers. Just call them your daughters. It's the Coalition of American Democrat Daughters, I think, might be the way to go. Isn't that amazing? The news media very, very riled up because they say that the gross domestic product has declined in the first quarter by 0.3%. 0.3%. And the media is spoozing all over the place because they can't get enough of what is bad for the United States is good for the Democrats. And if it really hadn't declined the GDP 0.3%, they'd just make it up and say that it had, but they'd be vague and nonspecific. But I mentioned the Coalition of American Sex Workers, which is a Democrat Party prostitution front group. Amazing stuff. Renee Olstead announces a new nonprofit status for the Sex Workers' Rights Initiative amid GOP pushback because the Democrats are pushing forward with prostitution and the Republicans are pushing back because Republicans are of the opinion that raising your daughter to be a street hooker is probably not the best goal, not what you should shoot for. Am I right? Honestly. But that's what the Democrats are doing. Out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, which used to be such a normal place, and now they got that crazy Judge Dugan, who's sneaking criminal wife beaters out the back door, not even his wife, somebody else's wife. Beat the guy up, beat him like a drum, and then beat the woman. And when they both showed up in court to testify against the illegal alien, Democrat Judge Dugan sneaked the illegal alien woman beater out the back door and set him free because she's mental. And the Wisconsin Supreme Court yesterday actually suspended this lunatic judge, which is a very good thing indeed. In fact, she should be disbarred and cast out of the awful, horrible, corrupt, filthy legal profession. Maybe she could go with the Coalition of American Sex Workers, which they've announced is, now getting tax benefits. I'm not even kidding. Pretty amazing stuff. Renee Olmstead turns political backlash into momentum with the announcement of her initiative of a new nonprofit status following criticism from Wisconsin GOP lawmakers over her recent state recognition by Representatives Ryan Clancy, Francesca Hong, Darren Madison, and Christian Phelps. Got her recognition. Yeah, did a recent state recognition by Democrats. And the news report here doesn't identify them all as Democrats because the person typing up the story is a Democrat, too.
You're a prostitute.
Presented with a legislative citation on April 19th honoring her achievements in entertainment and activism, the Penthouse magazine Pet of the Year and Sex Worker, that is to say, skanky, disease-ridden prostitute, she's sex workers' rights advocate, was targeted by GOP critics, but used the moment to announce that the CASW, it's the Coalition of American Sex Workers, the CASW, we've got a new acronym, a new abbreviation to memorize, had officially received nonprofit status and is now accepting donations to expand its legal aid. Sure, that's good. Because the Democrats are looking to mainstream and legalize prostitution, just like marijuana. And this is the Corleone family is looking at this and saying, wow, the government, the Democrat Party has become the Corleone family.
Do you think that sex work ought to be decriminalized?
I think so. I do. When you're talking about consenting adults, I think that, yes, we should really consider that we can't criminalize consensual behavior.
Yeah, and that's Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris, we should legalize prostitution and pot and illegal immigration and gangs from Venezuela and gangs from El Salvador. Sorry, I forgot to use my Spanish accent on all that stuff. Aren't they amazing? They are truly amazing. You're a Democrat Party. Legalize it all. And again, what did the Corleone, Vito Corleone didn't want to get into the drugs business. He didn't like that dirty drugs business. He thought it was dirty. But gambling and prostitution, they control the gambling, the prostitution, and the judges and police that Vito Corleone carried around in his pocket like so many nickels and dimes, right? Like so many nickels and dimes. And now the Democrats carry around judges like Judge Dugan in their pocket like so many nickels and dimes. They legalize pot so that they could tax it and get a piece of it. That's the same reason the Corleone family eventually, thanks to Sonny and then Michael went into the drug business. There's a lot of money in that white powder pop, as Santino Corleone said. And now the Democrat Party legalizing prostitution so they can tax it, so they can wet their beak. And that's Kamala Harris. She wanted to be president. The Democrats wanted to make her president. The media wanted to make her president. Legalize prostitution so all your daughters can grow up to be skanky, disease-riddled hookers. And that's what the Democrats say. Legalize pot, and then, legalize prostitution, then they tax it and they get their piece of it, like the Corleone family, right? And they legalize pot, and they tax it and they get their piece of it, like the Corleone family. And the gambling, which used to be limited to Nevada and then a bit in Atlantic City, New Jersey. Now there are casinos everywhere, and they did it under the cover of Native American tribes, American Indian tribes. Well, they've got their own nations, and they can have casinos. Now the casinos are everywhere because the Democrats realized they could wet their beak. They could get a piece of it. So now the Democrats and the U.S. government, they're the Corleone family. They control the gambling, the drugs, the prostitution, and the judges and corrupt politicians like so many nickels and dimes. And they are organized crime, and they're violent every day. And the governor of Illinois threatening violence and saying the only thing that, Republicans should never have a moment of peace. And don't forget the punch in the face thing, because the only thing that Republicans need is a punch in the face, because Republicans are tyrants and traitors, right? But Republicans should have no peace, not a moment.
These Republicans cannot know a moment of peace.
They cannot know a moment of peace. This is gangsterism right out of some radical left-wing third world beep-hole country that sane people would flee, and it's today's Democratic Party. Make no mistake. They are not on our side. Boy, are they not on our side. But President Trump opened with a soundbite of President Trump talking to Terry at ABC News, and wait till you hear this. But it's and President Trump at the. I'm going to wait for Robert De Niro till we get to President Trump at his speech in Michigan last night. But let's go back to the Terry Moran interview at ABC Fake News, where he begins with, "Do you think the reputation of the United States has gone down? Our reputation has gone down under you?" And President Trump pointed out, "Well, no, we have respect again." You think Joe Biden was? Did Terry Moran ask that question of Joe Biden? Because war in Europe, war in the Middle East, open borders, gangs pouring into the country, we became the laughing stock of the world. We had 9-point-something% inflation. Now it's down to 2-point-something% inflation. Yeah, Joe Biden was the laughing stock of the world, but Terry Moran, it would never occur to anybody at ABC News to bring it to Joe Biden because they're filthy, corrupt, left-wing radicals who support political violence every day. Never ask a question about that. Terry Moran, soundbite number 2, Terry Moran with President Trump yesterday, talking about the border, because Terry Moran is for open borders, for gangs, for more murder and rape and drug trafficking.
Do you acknowledge that under our law, every single person who gets deported gets a hearing first to make their case?
Well, are we talking about people that are citizens of our country or not?
No, you aren't deporting citizens at this point.
Well, let me ask you, did they get hearings when Biden allowed 21 million, because I think the number is 20 million people to flow into our country? You had 21 million people that came into our country through a stupid open border. Now, did we give them a hearing when they came in?
Terry Moran said, no, we've got to tie up the courts with our Harvard wankers for the next 15 years, giving everyone, they like to call it due process. They don't give due process to President Trump or to a busload of Trump administration people that they arrested in airports and pre-dawn raids in their homes with CNN camera crews behind them because of the propaganda value, and the FBI people that brought in the top secret cover sheets and then photographed them and leaked them to the media. Terry Moran and the ABC, they were good with all that. But let's make sure to stand up for all the gang members.
The law requires that every single person who is going to be deported gets a hearing first.
Well,
do you acknowledge that?
I'll have to ask the lawyers about that. All I can say is this. If you're going to have 21 million people, and if we have to get a lot of them out because they're criminals, we're going to have to act fast. We can't. Do you think we can give 21 million trials? Let's say each trial takes 2 weeks. Is that what you want us to do?
The law is the law, sir.
Oh, the law is the law, sir. Was he in Barack Obama's face, other than to, try to French kiss him, when Barack Obama deported literally millions of people, a bare minimum 3 million people? Barack Obama deported, some say more than 5 million people that Barack Obama deported. And where was ABC on that? Yeah, that's pretty amazing stuff. He's a corrupt individual, not a journalist, but a Democrat activist. Be it known. Maybe you should ask him about all the violent attacks by Democrats across the country, from the shootings to the fire bombings, and the violent attack on Jack Posobiec by Union thugs directed by Democrat Congressman. Because that's okay. You know that this country was built on hard work and on grit. Whether you're standing every day for long hours, running errands, chasing the kids, just doing your part to keep the world turning on its axis, you shouldn't have to deal with fatigue and foot pain every day. And that is where G-Defy shoes come in. G-Defy shoes are built with patented VersaShock technology. The Federal Trade Commission has authorized G-Defy to tell you and tell the world that these shoes will help to relieve minor occasional pain associated with walking, running, and prolonged periods of standing. G-Defy shoes help to absorb harmful shock. They align your body, improve your biomechanics, and return energy with every step that you take. My best girl and I, yesterday, hey, they're a G-Defy. We have 2 pairs each now. And right now, you can get 50% off your order of $120 or more by texting Chris to 91888. Or you can go on Al Gore's amazing internet to gdefy.com, GDEFY.com. Use the code Chris. Use the code Chris, and with G-Defy's 60-day risk-free trial, you've got nothing to lose and everything to gain. Message and data rates apply. Yeah, wait till you hear there's more of the ABC fake news interview, the questions and answers, and then President Trump's big rally in Michigan last night, too. Chris here with a list of things that none of us should trust. The Washington Post, the New York Times, anything on CNN. Here's a list of things that I do trust. The Washington Times. Support real journalism for just $1 a week at washingtontimes.com/Chris. Yeah, what do you hear the Terry Moran sham interview? And President Trump's big rally in Michigan last night. Great stuff. Let us go to the telephones in the interregnum, Michael. Let's go to Mark, calling from Frederick, Maryland. Mark, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hey, Chris, happy to be here, long-time listener. I appreciate the opportunity to kind of draw some analogies between what happened in World War II and where we are now. I think we had an opportunity to address a problem in the world prior to World War II, and we chose not to. And it cost us many lives and a tremendous amount of commitment to remain like the driving force in the world. And I think we're at that same point right now. We're over $30 trillion in debt. Our GDP is well less than that. You know, being the guiding force in the world is a difficult job, and it should be. And I think there are tougher times ahead financially, but it pales in comparison to what we as a country had to commit during World War II. I think in order to remain, you know, the number one country in the world, you have to be willing to sacrifice. And I think as a general rule, as Americans, we're not accustomed to that anymore. We become very comfortable, and whenever it's time to suffer, we tend to balk. But I think we're on the right path, and I believe that President Trump's vision will fix a problem, even in its late stages. That's just my point of view.
Well, I think I wouldn't dispute anything that you've said at all. I think you're correct. You're paying attention. Historical context is vitally important. And sometimes when you go to get your house in order at home or as a country, when you got to cut back on spending in the house because you find yourself in debt, and we're $36 trillion in debt. It would take 1 million years to pay off at $1 a second. President Trump sat down with Terry Moran of ABC Fake News, left-wing activist, not a journalist, not a level-headed thought has crossed his mind in decades, I would surmise. And of course they're going full court press on defending MS-13 and Tren de Aragua, and they love gang members in particular that beat women. That's one of the big Democrats. Even their Judge Dugan, maybe she doesn't know what a woman is either, since, Ketanji Brown Jackson in the Supreme Court doesn't know what a woman is. Maybe Judge Dugan doesn't know what a woman is either. But she left the victims who had been beaten mercilessly by the illegal alien criminal. She just left them in the courtroom while she sneaked the criminal out the back door. And now the Supreme Court in the state of Wisconsin has suspended that judge, and that is great news. Wisconsin Supreme Court suspends Judge Dugan indefinitely, given that she is involved in an ongoing criminal enterprise and freeing criminals sneaking them out the back door of the courthouse instead of adjudicating the case and holding criminals who are also illegal aliens responsible for the crimes they commit, beating women's faces in. But never mind that. So the Wisconsin Supreme Court on yesterday, suspended Judge Hannah Dugan. She's accused of helping a man evade immigration agents and justice in the case that he was in court for. At the courthouse, in a statement, Dugan's legal team, the news media goes right to her defense, right? And she's got a legal team, isn't that great? Said it was disappointed. They were disappointed, the legal team, they were disappointed that the court acted in unilateral fashion. No sense of irony. You must be kidding me. That the Supreme Court acted in unilateral. The judge acted in a unilateral. Judge Dugan acted in a unilateral fashion, freeing a criminal who beat the hell out of a woman and a man, and she sneaked him out the back door. Now that is the very model of a unilateral action by the corrupt judge, who should be disbarred and never allowed to practice law in the United States again. She could move to some beep-hole country where her left-wing radical extreme sensibilities might fit in more comfortably. Isn't that amazing? Milwaukee Circuit Court judge accused of helping a man avoid immigration enforcement in the courthouse. She also avoided, again, it was her courtroom that she avoided having, the people who were beaten, the victims, they were kicked to the curb by Judge Dugan, and the criminal got a rub down and an escort out the back door of the courthouse. Democrat Party. All right, and so Terry Moran at ABC was defending the criminals and the illegal aliens and the gangs and any bad guy in the world the Democrat Party is there to defend.
We have thousands of murderers that came in. They're going to murder people. They already have murdered people in our country.
Right, so
we have to get them out, and we have to get them out fast.
Really bad guys, but in our country, even bad guys get due process.
He just blows that off.
If people come into our country illegally, there's a different standard. These are illegal. They came in illegally.
But they get due process.
Well, they get a process where we have to get them out. Yeah.
They get a process right now, and let's keep in mind the hypocrite Terry Moran here. The news media really riled up about Trump touts immigration crackdown despite concerns about due process. That's the Reuters news agency. And President Trump has deported about 130,000 illegal aliens in a quarter of a year now, about 3 months, 100 days. And the news media, they tell me that about 130, and the government tells me, the Trump administration, about 130,000 illegal aliens have been deported, and they're targeting in particular gang members and people that have, in addition to being here illegally, committed violent crimes and have affiliations with gangs, violent gangs from other countries. And the Democrat Party, they are protectors, defenders, and they celebrate the illegal alien gangs. Now, I went to a CNN story today from 2019, CNN. Yes, Obama deported more people than Trump, but context is everything. Yeah, the context is you guys voted for Obama and didn't vote for Trump. That's the context. But the people at CNN in 2019, they informed me that according to an analysis by the Migration Policy Institute, more than 12 million people were deported or removed during the Clinton administration. Again, 130,000 for President Trump so far this year, 130,000. 12 million by Bill Clinton. More than 10 million were removed or returned during the George W. Bush administration. They just say Bush. They don't even use his whole name because they're still angry about him being president. Far fewer, more than 5 million, were removed during the Obama administration. So so that's a million a year, 1.25. Well, it's 5 million. So let me see. I got to break up my Bomar calculator. More than 5 million by the Obama administration, 12 million by the Clinton administration, 10 million removed by the George W. Bush administration. And they're all going bat guano over 130,000, targeting gang members and violent criminals. And they've got Terry Moran in their corner. There's no doubt about that. President Trump inexplicably talking to Terry Moran of ABC Fake News.
When we have criminals, murderers, criminals in this country, we have to get them out, and we're doing it.
By law.
And you'll pick out one man, but even the man that you picked out, he said he wasn't a member of a gang. And then they looked, and on his knuckles, he had MS-13.
There's a dispute.
Well, wait a minute.
Listen to this.
Wait a minute. He had MS-13 on his knuckles tattooed.
He had some tattoos that are interpreted that way. But let's move on.
Wait a minute.
No, let's not move on, you fascist.
He did not have the letter MS-13.
It says MS-13.
That was Photoshopped.
That was Photoshopped.
Terry, you can't do that.
He is a lying Sacagawea. What a lying sack this boy is. And they're so stupid and ignorant and filthy dishonest, and he's perfectly typical. As I like to point out, they don't follow the news. Now, it's true that photographs, and it was while Democrat Maryland Senator Chris Van Hollen was visiting him for some reason in a prison in El Salvador. And again, that's another woman beater, a wife beater, and baby mama beater who beat the hell out of his wife, and she got a restraining order against him. And the Democrats are his champion because they love wife beaters. I think if you're a woman and you're married to a Democrat, you might be in danger. Pretty amazing stuff. But the photograph that I saw initially was while Senator, Democrat, radical extremist, un-American, anti-woman Chris Van Hollen was shaking hands with and embracing and loving the wife-beating gang member. You could see on his left hand, on his knuckles, a series of tattoos. Who doesn't have, Jasmine, you have tattoos on all your knuckles, right? She's pumping her fists. She does not have tattoos on all of her knuckles. And Michael, tattoos on what do they symbolize? He doesn't have tattoos on his knuckles either. But the gang member that the Democrats love so much, the marijuana leaf, left hand, marijuana leaf on the index finger knuckle, that's for M. A smiley face on the middle finger knuckle, that's for S. And then the symbols, he had a C on the little finger for the third letter of the alphabet. The third number, 13. They put a C, and that's for 3. And then, and what is the I? Oh, they had a cross. It was a cross. But that was changed. That was altered, that tattoo. And the photograph emerged, and then gang experts took the photo, posted it on the internet, and they posted symbols over the tattoos on the knuckles of the left hand, explaining what those tattoos represent. And Terry, the arrogant, the smugness of this mamma jamma is almost impossible to believe. That's been debunked. No, that's not true. That was Photoshopped. He has no filthy, and the arrogance and the smugness, while he is dead stinking wrong, is just astonishing. These people. It doesn't say MS-13. That was Photoshopped. You're so stupid. You should be fired by Disney, which does fantasy stuff, and he's doing fantasy stuff here. But that is just astonishing. And the arrogance, the smugness, that was Photoshop. He's dead wrong completely, and so arrogant that he's pushing back in the face of the President of the United States, who's right, and this creep didn't bother to do his research, doesn't follow the news, doesn't know what's in the news, doesn't know what the photos he saw on the internet mean. A gang expert went in and put symbols over the tattoos on the knuckles and said, here's what these mean. Ask any gang expert. But Terry Moran, and he's just being an arrogant smug, yada, yada.
Hey, they're giving you the big break of a lifetime. You know, you're doing the interview. I picked you because, frankly, I never heard of you, but that's okay. I picked you, Terry. Hey, but you're not being very nice. He had MS-13 tattooed.
We'll agree to disagree. I want to move on to something else.
Terry.
I'm going to cut you off.
Do you want me to show you the picture?
I saw the picture.
And you think it was Photoshop?
And you think it was Photoshop? I know what Terry Moran's talking about, but Terry Moran doesn't know what Terry Moran's talking about. President Trump knows what Terry Moran's talking about, but Terry Moran doesn't know what Terry Moran's talking about. He should be fired. Any self-respecting news organization, that's quite a stretch, isn't it? They would fire him today. President Trump he's not going to give up on this.
Go look at his hand. He had MS-13.
He did have tattoos that can be interpreted that way. I'm not an expert on them. I want to turn to Ukraine.
Terry,
I want to get to Ukraine.
No.
Good.
He had MS as clear as you can be, not interpreted. This is why people no longer believe the news, because
when
it's
he was
fake
photographed
news.
in El Salvador, they aren't there. But let's just go on. They aren't there.
Wrong again.
They weren't there, but they're there now, right?
No,
but they're there
in
now.
your picture.
Terry.
Ukraine, sir.
He's got MS-13 on his knuckles.
All right.
Okay?
Well, we'll take a look at that.
You do such a disservice.
We'll take a look at that,
Why don't you just say it? Yes, he does.
The arrogance, because he's defending every wife-beating criminal gang member illegally in the country. Man, oh man.
They already have murdered people in our country.
Right, two.
Like two, he says. So the millions of illegal aliens, like two. We can go with Lake and Riley. That's one, and there's Rachel Moran. That's two, and he couldn't name those two women either, but never mind that. The Wall Street Journal, which isn't what it used to be, also has the headline today based on this ABC interview. Trump insists wrongly deported man, I don't think he was wrongly deported, has MS-13 tattooed on his knuckles. The president also says he could ask for Kilmar Abrego Garcia's return from Salvadoran prison. But I'm not the one making this decision. Well, the president of El Salvador would have to go along with it. But the MS-13 on his knuckles, and the Wall Street Journal doesn't cover the story properly either. Just amazing. And if you followed this, and you probably did, unlike Terry Moran at the time, the photographs that show, and then his the baby mama, who he eventually married in prison after beating her and before beating her again, she posted photos of him, and his left hand was visible in the photos that she posted, making clear the gang tattoos, which represent MS-13. And she used like little, what do you call them, like emoji hearts to cover up the knuckles on the photographs that she pasted. Just amazing. And the fake media covering this story again and again online today, not showing the photographs of his knuckles and not showing the gang expert adding the representations above the tattoos on the knuckles. The Democrat Party is an extraordinarily corrupt organization. Man, oh man. And then he went, I've got other things I want to attack you on. I want to attack you on Ukraine, which started under Joe Biden, and there's a communist, Vladimir Putin, who launched that, and they love killing millions of people, like the Democrats with the organ harvest and helpless little babies. But here he is attacking Pete Hegseth.
You said the other day that you had a talk with the secretary. Did you take him to the woodshed?
I had a talk with him, and
the woodshed.
Whatever I said, I probably wouldn't be inclined to tell you. But we had a good talk. He's a talented guy. He's young. He's smart, highly educated. And I think he's going to be a very good hopefully a great defense secretary, but he'll be a very good defense secretary.
And that's why he's standing by his guy, and that's entirely appropriate because, and I tell you, I was talking to somebody yesterday, Washington plugged in, talking about Pentagon friends, and I don't want to give away too much, but a high-ranking Pentagon official who came to this guy, and he said, well, what is with Hegseth? And he said, Hegseth is great. He's fine. Everything is good. The troops are good. The people directly under him are good. Everything is just fine with Pete Hegseth. But the Democrats, you know how they are. And he's pushing again. No, we got to get rid of. And then if they could take out Hegseth, then they would attack another cabinet member.
You have 100% confidence in
I
Pete
don't have
Hegseth.
100% confidence in anything. Okay, anything. Do I have 100%? It's a stupid question. Look,
it's a pretty important position.
No. You don't have 100%. Only a liar would say I have 100% confidence. I don't have 100% confidence that we're going to finish this interview.
We will.
No, I would have cut it off right there. That'd be it. I'd just prove you wrong again. All right, I'm gone. All right, you're right. We're finishing the interview. Bye. And then amazing. And did this creep hit Joe Biden with, well, do you have 100% confidence in Lloyd Austin, his defense secretary, who disappeared for weeks and didn't tell anybody where he was while he was in the hospital with major medical maladies and war breaking out all over the world while the defense secretary was gone? And let's go with your Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, while war was breaking out. Where was he? 100% confidence, Joe Biden, in your Secretary of Defense and your Chairman of the Joint Chiefs, who was opening a private line to General Lee in communist China. You have 100% confidence there? Our media is the most corrupt institution in America. Terry Moran should be fired for that interview. ABC should not be allowed into the White House for the next 3 3/4 years. ABC News should be barred from the White House because of that fake interview. That's everything that's wrong with the news media right there. You know that the all-new third-generation Eden Pure Thunderstorm air purifier has finally arrived, and it builds on the incredible success of the previous generations and the models that earned them thousands of 5-star reviews on Al Gore's amazing internet quickly became a bestseller. This new Thunderstorm uses 2 different technologies that studies have shown help to kill up to 99.9% of bacteria and viruses floating in the air. It removes dust and pet stuff and smoke and a whole lot more from the air that you breathe. And you don't have to buy filters again and again to replace, which is annoying. The Eden Pure Thunderstorm will help get rid of any stinky smell, guaranteed. Trash cans, cigarette smoke, liberal protesters, musty basements. No match for the Eden Pure Thunderstorm. And right now, you can save $200 American on an Eden Pure Thunderstorm 3-pack for whole home protection. You can put one in your basement, your bedroom, your teenager's room, any place you like to breathe clean, fresh air. All you have to do is go to EdenPureDeals.com and use the discount code CHRIS3, CHRIS and the number 3 to save $200 on 3 Thunderstorms. That's EdenPureDeals.com. The discount code is CHRIS3. Yeah, ABC News. Now, I got President Trump had a rally in Michigan last night, and a lot of fun was had by everyone there. Terry Moran was not there.
I don't have 100% confidence that we're going to finish this interview.
We will.
By the way, the conservative writer, author, thinker, David Horowitz has passed away yesterday. 86 years old, started out as a hardcore lefty in the 1960s, came to his senses much later in life, became a great thinker and advocate for all things that are correct and true, and for the United States of America as a part of that. But he became a conservative when he grew up, and his eyes were opened. David Horowitz, passing away yesterday at the age of 86.